a high-profile game early in the season. You want to see where your pitching staff stacks up against the other top competition across the country. Of course, Lexi Kilfoyle, no stranger to top competition, coming over from Alabama. You're going to see her in the circle working that heavy drop ball down in the zone. She throws with really good velocity too, mid to even high 60s. She's got a lot of experience, a great off-speed pitch that you're going to see her utilize early and often.
Well, Kilfoyle will get her shot against these Hokies, and when we look at their starting lineup, going 5-0 in the opening weekend, starting it off with Emma Ritter, a player who is really a jump starter, a tone setter for this group as the leadoff, but you also have to keep your eye on Kelsey Bennett, a number of players throughout this lineup who can get it done. Emma Ritter standing in and ready to take the first AB for the Hokies here from Clearwater. Coming in at 69 miles per hour, but called for ball one. Ritter, first team All-ACC a season ago on this group who made back-to-back hosting appearances for Super Regionals after winning the ACC.
One thing we saw from the early games yesterday from these teams was being able to establish that strike zone early. Now, a lot of those pitchers were throwing rise balls up in the zone, trying to see how high they could get those pitches called. Now with Lexi Kilfoyle in the circle, working the bottom half of the zone. How low can she throw those drop balls and still get them called for a strike?
The 2-0 pitch. The bouncer, and through the middle, and Emma Ritter is on with a leadoff base hit.
That's the exact reason why Emma Ritter is in that leadoff position, to set the tone for the rest of this offense. She watches those first two drop balls go by, knows that Kilfoyle is going to try to bring it up just slightly, gets solid barrel on it, drives it right back up the middle to get things started for the Hokies.
Here's Cameron Fagan from Dunellen, Florida. So a couple of Tampa Bay area players, and Fagan and Kilfoyle in the circle facing off here. Another all-conference selection out of the ACC. And she's the type of player, when you've watched her throughout her career, she's just always got a nose for getting on base. Good hitter, but finds her way on the bases.
Well, and she was somebody that really locked down the leadoff spot in the lineup last season. Trying to see what Emma Ritter can do in that position. And also, Cameron Fagan put on some muscle in the offseason, has a bit more power coming into this year, and I think a bit of a strategy too is try to see how many people you can get on base to set the table for somebody like Cameron Fagan to come through with a bit more run production this season.
Another 2-0 count. Remember, Ritter got the hit off the 2-0. And that one fouled away by Cameron Fagan. Kilfoyle, who will also get a chance to see at the plate, a great two-way player who brings skill in the circle and at the dish. Puts it into play over to the shortstop and trying to get the double play, not able to turn it, but Kylie Naomi does get the lead runner at second. One down.
The middle infield for Oklahoma State is definitely going to get a lot of action with Lexi Kilfoyle in the circle. And you know that she's got a lot of confidence in that middle infield duo behind her, with Kylie Naomi with that quick turn over to Rachel Becker, who is quickly becoming a player to watch across the nation for this Cowgirl squad.
I'm glad that you pointed that out, because when you talk about transfers as Becker comes over from Purdue, there's always this hype, this anticipation of what they can do in their new setting after having success. Their former programming, Rachel Becker, so far is as good as advertised.
Offensively and defensively, too. Of course, we've seen her pretty much get on base every single time throughout the start of this season, but what she's been able to do from a defensive standpoint, really complimenting Kylie Naomi over at shortstop.
Been fouled off by the right fielder, Addie Green. Green, who had 18 starts last season, now finds herself in a more consistent role early on in this 2023 campaign. Well, Pete Demore is the leader of this bunch in his 5th season, coming off of ACC Coach of the Year honors for the 2nd time since being at the helm in Blacksburg. And we talked about how fantastic of a season they had last year, going 21-2 in the ACC, best winning percentage in program history. On the 1-2, and is able to try to sneak it past Becker along that right side. So 2 aboard after that little dribble base hit from Green.
Addie Green fouled off a couple of pitches to get some more look at these drop balls coming in, and she just pulls it through that 3-4 hole. You could see where Rachel Becker started, pinched up the middle. They're trying to turn a double play, anticipating that the ground balls are going to end up going more towards center field, but Addie Green gets her barrel around it, pulls it just enough to get past that glove of Becker at second base.
Well, Jamie Bailey at the plate, who helped to lead the offensive charge in the opening weekend. And over and to first base and fielded well by Wynn. 2 down, but the runners advance to scoring position.
Early in this ball game, seeing the Hokies make good adjustments on those pitches low in the zone. They're not able to get their barrels underneath it, but they're making very quality contact on those ground balls, making it really hard on this infield defense to make some of those plays.
Bree Peck stands in, has a chance to try to knock in some runs in this first inning. The sophomore looks at strike 1. Well, Pete Demore is certainly happy to have Bree Peck back 100% healthy. Wasn't necessarily feeling that way coming into the season. They felt like they were going to need her for this weekend.
Even saw her make a pitching appearance in the circle last weekend too, something that she did in her high school career but hasn't had to at Virginia Tech up until this season. They said they could use her in the circle, so really it was in the fall that they started getting her throwing back out there. Good drop ball that she brings to the table. And of course, what she's been able to bring for them offensively too is just a well-rounded player.
Guilfoyle gets that one in for a strike. She's ahead in the count with 2 outs. Looks down to the wristband. Lines up and delivers. And Bree Peck goes chasing, thrown out at first. So after surrendering a couple of hits to open up this ball game, Lexi Guilfoyle gets out of the inning unscathed. We'll go to the bottom half, and we'll see the Cowgirls up the bat.
fire yesterday to start out this tournament, and it all got started off the bat of Kylie Naomi driving that one over the left field wall. Cheyenne Factor gets in on the action with a center field home run, and then Morgan Wynn in game 2 of yesterday's ball games blasted it. I don't even know if that one's landed yet, but this Oklahoma State offense has a ton of power top to bottom.
Well, they started out day 1 racking up 18 runs. You mentioned Naomi, also Lexi Kilfoyle, as we mentioned, the two-way player who had a 2-run homer last weekend, the opening weekend of the college softball season. She's hitting in the 4th spot. Well, in the circle for Virginia Tech, going with the freshman, going up against a top 5 team, and Lindsey Grind, what she got?
You love to see it. The freshman thrown into the fire, see what they can do in these high pressure situations. She's gonna throw in the mid-60s, but a good rise ball, a lot of spin on that pitch. It's that changeup though, that's the difference maker that she can throw in any count. I don't think any of us are shocked to see that Rachel Becker is seeing as many pitches as possible to get a good scouting report on Grind in the circle.
2 for 3 in her at-bats yesterday.
And it looks like they called an illegal pitch on that last one, so it's gonna bring that count to 3-0. The call made by the third base umpire. I think they're taking a look at that front right foot to see if it's sliding off of the rubber before she goes into her motion. As a pitcher, what they're looking for is that heel on her right foot. You're gonna see where Grind sets up on that rubber. I think on that pitch prior, it just slid forward and then she went into her motion, and that's what those umpires are looking for on the corners.
That aids the batter and Becker, and opposite field, and it drops foul. And we saw the patience of Becker yesterday at the plate. Had a double, but also a couple of walks as well, and providing good intel for the rest of the Cowgirls lineup.
She sees so many pitches, and the other thing it does too, I think it puts some pressure on the pitcher in the circle right from the first at bat of the ball game, saying, hey, you know what, I'm gonna make this a really tough out. You're gonna have to work all day today.
And this one, an opposite field hit on a 3-2 count, and Rachel Becker is aboard with the leadoff single in the bottom half of the first.
Again, she's not hunting walks. She's not going up there to take pitches. She is just hitting whatever the pitchers give her. This one up in the zone a bit. She takes her barrel to it after fouling one off down that left field line, makes the slight tweak in her swing to get it into fair territory and get things going for her team in the bottom of the first.
The leadoff hitters yesterday for Oklahoma State, great table setters, 6 of 10. Now Talon Edwards, the promising freshman, takes strike 1. Out of Moore, Oklahoma, reclassified, graduated high school a year early to join Kenny Gajewski and his group. You see the head man in his 8th season with Oklahoma State, and just the winning success he's had, especially over the last 3 seasons, 45 wins plus for the Cowgirls and 3 consecutive trips to the Women's College World Series.
One thing about Coach Gajewski that's always impressed me is his ability to get so many transfers, so many new faces, and get them to mesh so well in one team every single year. It seems like he's repeating that over and over again.
Talon Edwards lifts this one in the center field, fly ball, and out number 1.
Even look at the top of the lineup here with the transfer and Rachel Becker and the freshman and Talon Edwards to get things going. A couple of new faces that have just meshed so well into a lot of the veterans that are in this lineup too. And you can see her coming back, talking to a veteran in Kylie Naomi, what she saw out of the pitcher. every single at-bat you can learn something, every single pitch, and she's trying to pass that information along to her teammates.
And Kylie Naomi, one of those steely veterans for this program. You think about, you have to recruit the players that are there in today's age, try to bring in new talent to develop, and also attract some of those in the transfer portal. That's a very delicate balance.
Coach had such great things to say about Kylie Naomi too, and just how coachable she's been this season. Not that she was ever not coachable, but it just seems like she has approached this season with open arms, gonna do whatever it takes to make sure that they're that team hoisting the trophy at the end of the year. That's one thing he said is the ultimate goal for this team is to be the last one standing.
Made it all the way to the semifinals before falling to a Big 12 foe in Texas, who were the runners-up last season. Taking all the way 3 balls and a strike, but you think about, you know, Naomi being in this program. She was a part of that 2019 magical season when, you know, this team set all kinds of records and made it to USA Hall of Fame Stadium, and now it's become commonplace. The 7th seed in the NCAA tournament was able to take down Arizona and Florida. How about winning that Big 12 tournament championship to enter into mayhem?
Game went into extra innings with Oklahoma too. So if you can take down the Sooners, you know you're doing something right. Kelly Maxwell in the circle, you know when you have her out there, she's gonna give you a chance to win every single ball game.
Tails foul. And then too, you think about the rotation or the turnover that you're gonna see year in and year out. So you graduate Sydney Pennington, Haley Busby, Miranda Ellish, Morgan Day, all of those players, and talking about being more coachable, there's also more leadership that has to come from a player like Kylie Naomi. Nice take on the inside part of the plate, ball 4, and 2 aboard for Lexi Kilfoyle.
We mentioned Kilfoyle being one of those two-way players. We saw her in Puerto Vallarta last weekend. Hit a home run, got a couple of RBIs in that ball game. She has a big, powerful swing coming from the right side, and here a great opportunity to get her team on the board early in this ball game.
Kilfoyle, big presence at the plate. Kind of puts you actually in the mindset of a player like a Miranda Ellish who could go both ways.
The ones who are really elite, both offensively and in the pitcher circle, are the ones that can separate both games within a single game. You're not taking up to your at-bats what happened on the field or vice versa.
Kilfoyle, who is down the count 1-2, out of Academy of the Lakes over in Land O'Lakes, Florida. And several fans, even the youngsters, on hand to take in this awesome day and weekend of softball. The grounder over to shortstop, trying to turn the double play, and they're able to do so. So the 6-4-3 from the Hokies defense ends the inning.
A great way to have your freshman pitchers back in the circle is getting those huge double plays to end the inning. It's Tegan Thrunk over at shortstop, firing it over to Cameron Fagan, bringing it over to 1 for the 6-4-3 double play.
Clearwater Invitational, presented by EvoShield, is brought to you by TaxAct. File for less and get more. St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida. Let's shine. Plan your escape at visitstpeteclearwater.com. EvoShield, the source for custom fitting protective gear. And Gatorade, and our commitment to fuel tomorrow.
Oh, the peace and tranquility you feel along some of America's best beaches. Looking at Clearwater Beach as we welcome you back to Eddie Seymour Complex. Don't get jelly. We're here. We're not there, just like you, so it's all good. Top 10 matchup between Virginia Tech and Oklahoma State, scoreless going into the second. Meredith Slaw leading it off for the Hokies. Again, you look up and down this roster for Virginia Tech. A number of familiar names and faces, players who have had great success. Although you'll see missing Mackenzie Lauder and Keely Richard, who helped to author another great chapter in Hokie softball history last season.
Meredith Slaw, definitely a veteran in this Hokies offense. And one thing that you're going to notice when she steps into the box is how far off of the plate she stands. Typically, you're going to see batters like to toe up on the chalk line, but she's a batter that feels more comfortable well off of the plate. You can see this distance here between the chalk line and the front of her foot. And you're going to watch her step across on its way into the pitch as well. A lot of distance that she's able to cover with that barrel.
I like the illustration there. I mean, can you think about how many inches would you play with it? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, Madison, but typically batters like to stand where, and she stands how much further back?
It all depends on your strengths. What pitches do you like to hit? I was somebody that loved to hit inside pitches, and I wanted to bait pitchers into throwing inside, so I would put my toes right onto the chalk line. For her, I think it's a matter of making adjustments to keep her barrel going back towards the pitcher just a little bit longer and not flying open. You can see her fouling off those pitches to the left side. All a part of that mental chess game that you can play with the pitcher too. There's always a certain strength that a hitter has, and you're hoping that the pitcher throws into that spot, and sometimes depending on where you stand in the box can force them to have to throw to those spots.
Early morning analysis from Madison Shipman, folks. Take it in and enjoy it.
I gave away my scouting report too. Everybody knows I like inside pitches.
Well out in front of that one, just got a piece of it.
I did like changeups too, but this one is a nasty changeup, 54 miles per hour. Slaw just barely got a piece of that one to keep this at-bat alive.
This one put on the ground to Kylie Naomi over at short, and one down. We'll have even more football for you with the XFL season kicking off Saturday. Coverage of the Vegas Vipers Arlington Renegades begins at 3, then 3 more games over the weekend on ESPN and FX, with every game available on ESPN+. More football, the continued season of the gridiron sport. Meanwhile, the start of the stick and ball sport with softball underway. Second weekend of play. And the beauty of this event, you know, we talk about it all the time, but just how you get treated to elite softball in the early part of the season, it makes you think softball all the more. You know, a lot of focus is put on mayhem, but we have to come up with a tag, and I feel like Beth Mowins will certainly come up with something for this February awesomeness that we're experiencing.
You don't want to go with February awesomeness? I think that one's pretty good.
She's way better at like alliterations and catchphrases. She's the voice of college softball, so you know.
That wind blowing, you can see those flags. Be trying to get a ball up in the air, see if it can travel over the fence. Easier said than done off of Kilfoyle.
And we saw some of that yesterday too, right? Where fly balls were hit to the outfield and they just kind of got over. It wasn't crushed.
Just seems like if the ball gets up high enough, it's going to get into that wind tunnel and travel even further. Makes it hard for those outfielders too. You're going to see them constantly communicating throughout this ball game to see which direction that wind is blowing.
Fouled off, even though it rolled into fair territory. So 1-2 still to Kelsey Bennett. Player who comes in with a hunger and a motivation. The numbers weren't as great as they had been in seasons past, but that's what's helped to fuel her all the more. Coming in with a little chip on her shoulder.
And she was still fairly productive last season, ended up with 29 RBI. You know, she'd love to see some more run production this season. You can set the tone here in Florida. Good at bat. In the top of the second inning. So far, we're seeing a lot more off-speed pitches out of Kilfoyle too in this inning than we did in the first inning. Primarily stuck with that drop ball this inning, mixing in a few more pitches.
This one able to be driven up on the 2-2 pitch into the outfield. And a single third hit given up so far by Kilfoyle.
And see where Rachel Becker set up. That first initial step was going towards first base, and just losing that bit of a step can make it so that you don't make a play on a ball up the middle. A lot of anticipation goes into defense too. You go with the pitches, where the pitch is called, where you think the batter is going to hit it, to give you that bit of an advantage to make some of those plays. And you have to be okay that you're going to be wrong sometimes, and that's all right. Because you have somebody like Kilfoyle in the circle, who we've seen is giving up ground ball, base hits. So Virginia Tech's going to have to string together a lot of those base hits to bring a run across the board. But that's her job. Keep the ball low in the zone, keep the ball in the park, and force them to find a way to manufacture runs.
The new catcher, Kylie Aldridge, swinging through that one. The freshman having to fill the shoes of Mackenzie Lauder. Pinch runner over at first base for the Hokies, but you think about Lexi Kilfoyle having seen Virginia Tech a season ago in a different uniform. She gave up a number of hits, but most importantly, she kept them off the scoreboard.
Yeah, those singles aren't going to be the one that hurts you. It's giving up the big home run with people on base. And because she so consistently works the ball down in the zone, even with her changeup, when she's the most effective, it's staying right there at the knees. And it's really difficult as a batter to get your barrel underneath those pitches and get it up into the air. That's why you're going to see a lot of action for this infield defense for Oklahoma State today.
Aldridge out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. Stands in ready. Tried to wait up on that one and just off the back screen, she'll get another shot.
I think when you look at Kylie Aldridge's numbers from last weekend, they're not really indicative of how good of at bat she had up at the plate. She ended up with about 5 walks last weekend, but had really 3 balls that she really hit hard that went straight to people. And sometimes that's going to happen in the game. You got to shake it off and just focus on the fact that you're having those quality at bats early on in your career.
This one put on the ground, charging Megan Bloodworth, and she throws the runner out at first. 2 away.
Not the result you wanted, but it did move the runner over into scoring position. Advancing them 1 base at a time. Of course, that's Oklahoma State's strategy. That's exactly what they want you to do. Pound the ball into the ground, force the defense to make plays. You've got a lot of solid defenders behind Kilfoyle.
And Madison Hanson coming in as the pinch hitter for Tegan Thrunk. Hanson, the junior. So 1 for 2 so far on the season for Hanson. You heard the cheers of good from the dugout for the Hokies. Just laying off that ball down the zone. Kilfoyle, who takes up a lot of that time. You have 25 seconds to deliver a pitch, and she likes to eat up a lot of that time.
Every pitcher has their own routine, their own breathing routine that they go through when they step onto the rubber. And you're right, Kilfoyle does take her time out there, makes the hitter sweat a little bit in the box.
Kind of reminds you of Catherine Sandercott,
yes,
from
yep.
Florida State, who we'll see up next as they face off against Arkansas. This one lifted high off the bat of Madison Hanson into center field. It's gone! Off the bench, and Madison Hanson puts the Hokies up first, 2-0.
Tiff, we were just talking about it. If you could get a ball up into that wind tunnel, it is going to fly. Looks like an off-speed pitch, and she gets her barrel underneath it. She knew it straight off the bat that she squared it up. Love the fist pump, love the emotion. It is not easy to come off of the bench and be successful as a pinch hitter. She was ready when her name was called upon, and she came through clutch for the Hokies to get them on the board in this second inning.
And that one was with 2 strikes, Madison off of Lexi Kilfoyle, 3rd straight batter to push her in that scenario and be successful with a hit.
Well, you even mentioned it too, how the team was getting excited with the takes that she was having up at the box. There's a fine line between a drop ball that you want to attack and a drop ball that's going to be too low out of the zone, and it's just a matter of seeing those pitches on their way to you. But just with that swing right there, you could tell that she was paying attention to every single pitch that Kilfoyle had thrown.
And Lexi Kilfoyle surrendering the first runs of this invitational for her team. Remember, they shut out everybody yesterday. Different start to today. And in conversations leading up to this, you know, many of the coaches saying, look, we just need to use this as a gauge for the season. You want these types of scenarios where you're facing off against a top 10 team in the second weekend of the season.
And of course that goes for both teams. For Coach Pete D'Amour, he wants to see how his offense stacks up against somebody like Lexi Kilfoyle, but for Coach Gajewski, he wants to see how Lexi Kilfoyle responds in the circle, because it's okay, home runs are going to happen, but how do you respond in that very next at-bat? What do you do on that next pitch? So for her, it's all about reestablishing the tone to try to get her team back into the dugout.
Even count to Emma Ritter. Ritter, who had a single off of Kilfoyle to lead off the game. And Ritter is just one of those players, when you watch her, you're like, oh man, she's just so good.
She can really do it all. She's got power up at the plate. She's got a good eye. She's aggressive. She's got good speed as well. All of those reasons why she's sitting at the top of the lineup for the Hokies.
This one on the inside, handcuffed her a little bit, and that ends the inning, but not before the Hokies go yard.
How about the pinch hitter, Madison Hanson, coming off of the bench to get it done, blasting this one way over that center field wall. Love to see the fire early in the season.
Let's take a look at today's performance update prepared by TaxAct.
Well, we mentioned that the wind was going to be a factor, but look at how far this ball travels. The ricochet off of the shortstop into Blaze Behringer's hands, just like you drew it up, right? You think they practiced that in Arizona? See how high they can hit the ball, see how far it travels? Hot potato a bit with the teammates, but hey, they got the job done. I'm impressed.
Bobble, bobble. Oh, shake it, shake it. Just Blaze. And that's over on ESPN Plus, scoreless game between the Wildcats and the Aggies. 1 of 12 on the slate today. They both started at the top of the hour with us as well. Welcome you back, Madison Shipman, Tiffany Green. Virginia Tech scored in the top half of the inning, and now Oklahoma State, after surrendering their first runs of the Invitational, get a chance to answer. Caitlin Carwile at the plate, Morgan Wynn on deck, and Cheyenne Factor, who made some noise yesterday along with her partner Wynn, is in the hole. You know, one of the things that we have continuously mentioned is just how this Invitational keeps getting better and better. And how about your girl, Lindsey Grine, getting better and sitting down Carwile?
I wanted to see how the freshman came out in response to her team going up 2-0. She comes out with a strikeout. I like the downward bite on this pitch too. You can see her flipping her wrist over right at the end. She's somebody known more for her upspin with that rise ball up in the zone just like that. But I like that last pitch, turning it over, dropping it down in the zone.
And a question mark, beyond Emma Limley, who had a fantastic freshman season, what was the rest of this Hokies pitching staff going to look like sans Keely Richard, the All-American and two-time ACC Pitcher of the Year?
I think a lot of teams are answering that question this year, graduating some fantastic pitchers from last season. And I think for Virginia Tech, they had to do the same thing last season too, but somebody like Emma Lemley stepped up. So it really opens up opportunities for other people on these rosters to show what they're made of. And so far in this ball game, I like what Lindsey Grine's showing us out there, mixing up her pitches, reading what the batters are doing.
And quickly retiring the first two batters of the inning.
We mentioned that Kilfoyle works at a bit of a slower pace out in the circle, but Grine works very quickly out there. She does not take a lot of time in between pitches. She gets in there, she gets after it, and I think the rest of the team is feeding off of that energy that she's bringing in the circle.
And it also helps to have a 2-run lead to work with as well. Although nothing safe with this Cowgirls, and Cheyenne Factor showed us yesterday that the game can quickly change with one swing of her bat.
Nothing safe in this tournament either. A lot of teams battling yesterday. Taking a look at what Cheyenne Factor did yesterday, showing off the power. This pitch inside, good velocity on it, but she brings her barrel straight to it. Short, quick hands, driving that thing out to center field. Just the exclamation point on that win for the Cowgirls yesterday over the Texas A&M Aggies.
And we saw Texas A&M fighting pretty hard through 4 innings. I mean, it was a close ball game. And a slow start, honestly, for Cheyenne Factor for the season, but since touching down in Clearwater, she's had success. And draws a 4-ball walk with 2 outs.
Next batter is the designated player, Michaela Wark.
Michaela Wark, the freshman out of Frisco, Texas, redshirted with the Jayhawks last season and then entered into Stillwater.
Cowgirls just reminding freshman pitcher Lindsey Grind how many balls that she's thrown. Trying to do whatever they can to see if they can get her in her head out there in the circle. See how she responds here. If I'm Michaela Wark, I'm keeping the bat on my shoulder. Like the veteran leadership that we're seeing from first baseman Jamie Bailey too, knowing that she's thrown a couple of consecutive balls, 7. Thank you, Oklahoma State, for reminding me. Just coming in, taking the time, changing up the rhythm too. As a batter, you get into a rhythm as well. It's a good opportunity for her to breathe and refocus and get after this pitch.
But these are the baptism by fire type of moments that you want to develop early in the season so that come conference play, it doesn't phase you. Taken all the way, and Ryan is able to throw a strike.
Had to change it up after the strike there.
Wark puts into it. She does some work. Out of here. Ball game time. Well, after Super Bowl Sunday, I'm going to say a little wark, 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 wark. Shout out to Rihanna, but more importantly, Michaela Wark.
You've been waiting 2 days to use that in a ball game. I love it. And the Cowgirls love that home run by Michaela Wark even more. Gets it herself into a good 3-1 count, a good hitter's count, knowing that Grind's going to bring something into that strike zone, and she is all over it. The teams that I believe are the most successful when it comes time for postseason are the teams that can get those clutch 2-out RBIs. We just saw a great example of 2 right there being able to tie up this ball game.
And what a difference Wark makes after that swing. Knotted at 2. And Megan Bloodworth is ahead in the count. Part of that trio of transfers for Kenny Gajewski. She too coming over from Alabama. One of those players who was in the conversation for Freshman of the Year finalist a season ago. And also great on the infield. She's looking at 2 balls and 2 strikes. With 2 outs, the Twos have it here. Lays out and stays with that pitch, drives it into left field for the base hit. Well, Monday night, 2 of the top women's teams in the Pac-12 square off, and a big one over on ESPN2. Number 3 Stanford hosts the 16th ranked UCLA Bruins at Maples Pavilion. Coverage begins at 9 Eastern after Oklahoma State and West Virginia men's basketball. And you see, wasting no time after giving up that base hit, Lindsey Grind standing right back in and ready to pitch.
For some pitchers, they like to stand back there, gather their thoughts, clear their mind. And I think the strategy here for Lindsey Grind is not allowing yourself any time to think about anything. You're just focusing on that one pitch at hand. Big at bat here, too. Of course, you've got Rachel Becker, the top of the lineup for the Cowgirls coming up, but I think she wants to reestablish herself in the circle and not let what she's done up to this point get derailed by just one bad pitch. Refocus. You've got 2 outs. Try to induce a ground ball out here, get your team back into that dugout.
Played well over at second base, but not before Oklahoma State evens it up. 4th different player to homer in 3 games here in the Clearwater for the Cowgirls.
Michaela Wark getting it done for the Cowgirls, blasting this one a long way, and tying up this ball game with just one swing of the bat.
Nearing the top of the 11 o'clock hour, tie ball game between Virginia Tech and Oklahoma State as we move to the 3rd. Madison Shipman, Tiffany Green here with you, and oh yeah, some swings of the bat, some balls leaving the yard. If you're just tuning in, it's at the right time.
Brand new ball game, 0-0 ball game. That would be the mentality that I'm approaching this top of the 3rd inning with. Lexi Kilfoyle looking to get back out there, reestablish that lower part of the strike zone.
2-3-4 due up for the Hokies. Cameron Fagan, who grounded out her first time up. Part of the Fagan family who's been well connected to softball. I love all of the passing the bat instances within a household. Sisters played at the collegiate level, much like you and your sister. Okay, so now we can bring in Allie Shipman from Alabama. You played at Tennessee, and always the conversation of, you know, who's the best? Your resume speaks for itself.
Hey, we like to give each other a hard time, but what I love to see with especially these siblings that are playing in softball is you can see little bits and pieces of each other in one batter, but each of them approach the game so differently. They think the game differently, they see the game differently, and I've been really impressed with what Cameron Fagan's been able to bring to this Virginia Tech team. So much more strength that she's brought into this season too, really looking to boost those power numbers a bit. But she still has that leadoff mentality too. I think this is a great opportunity for her to capitalize on what she learned being in that leadoff position last season. Take this into this inning, see what she can do to try to get on base and start that momentum going for her team after Oklahoma State just got it back in the bottom of the 2nd.
2-time all-conference selection. Hit .351 in that leadoff last year. Grounds it over to 3rd and unassisted 3U if you're scoring at home. Well, Lexi Kilfoyle, who is going to continue to settle into her role, playing complement to the ace and All-American Kelly Maxwell. And it's something that, you know, she's definitely embraced, not necessarily having to shoulder all of the pressure, but being able to spread it out a little bit.
I think they complement each other very well as far as what they throw in the circle too. Of course, Maxwell coming from the left side, a lot of spin, a lot of pitches in different directions.
And this one being tagged by Addie Green, and no doubt off of her bat. Bye-bye, baby.
Home run, Eddie.
We told you at the top of the broadcast we were going to get it popping. Well, the bat is popping.
been so impressed with the way that these Hokies have been able to manipulate their barrels and get it underneath that heavy drop ball coming in from Kilfoyle. Kilfoyle knew it as soon as she let go of that pitch, that thing was way out of here. Addie Green getting barrel underneath it, a pitch up in the zone a bit, and gives her team the lead in the top of the third.
Different time around for Lexi Kilfoyle. We talked about her time at Alabama facing off against Virginia Tech, a complete game shutout, a 2-0 victory. This time the hits hurting a little bit more and adding into runs. And one of those tough hitters in the lineup is at the plate for the Hokies, and Jamie Bailey. Is this one gonna drop or no? Talon Edwards chasing that one down, covering a lot of ground in left field. Great catch from the freshman.
The freshman completely prepared out there in left field. She's got the visor, she's got the sunglasses. We've mentioned that win, and she tracks it all the way over towards that left field line, making a really nice catch over there for out number 2.
Well, Talon Edwards, a special talent according to her coach, Kenny Gajewski. And showing off some wheels there to track down that fly ball. First pitch swinging and into the outfield with a 2-out hit for Bree Beck.
Virginia Tech has been attacking early in the strike zone,
Next batter, the designated player.
fouling off a lot of pitches too. We talked about those barrel adjustments that they've been able to make. But really, they've been pounding the ball hard down into the ground too, right back up the middle. And when the ball's going up the middle, it's telling me that they're on time. And we mentioned that Kilfoyle throws with some pretty good velocity, mid to upper 60s. But they're not shying away from that velocity at all, taking their hands straight to it, and just continuing this rally that they've built in this third inning.
Out ahead of that one on that changeup is Meredith Slaw.
And one way to mess with hitters' timing is to throw out that off-speed pitch. You could tell she was getting a sense that they were getting on time for that drop ball, just to mix things up, bring in that off-speed pitch. And it's the most effective when it starts right about thigh to knee high and drops off the table right at the end.
Top of the hour, 3-2 ball game. 9th-ranked Hokies able to put up 2 runs last inning off a pinch hit. Homer from Madison Hanson. Addie Green going yard already this inning. And a runner on base for Meredith Slaw. First game of this invitational for Virginia Tech. This group coming out of Blacksburg with high expectations under their 5th-year head coach, Pete DeMoore. Reigning ACC champs. And well defense to knock it down. Bloodworth, and still able to get the throw over to first in time. What a recovery by Bloodworth.
Bloodworth bobbles it a couple of times over at third base, but she sticks with that play. Hard hit off of the bat, goes with the backhand, but picks it up barehanded and fires it across for the 3rd out of the inning.
The amount of great matchups that we have here are unparalleled.
Coming out to make the diving catch.
Wow, just really big plays.
Back to the track and gone.
The best ticket, the hardest ticket to get in town.
And the coverage continues. A live look-in over Clearwater Beach. Little toss and catch. And look, there is always an appropriate time when you're in Florida to take in the waves, the sounds, and also warm up the arm a little bit.
Love to see that. Look like father-daughter playing catch out on the beach. My dad would have busted out a bat and started smashing me ground balls.
Your sister's going to bust out a bat at 4 o'clock Eastern as they take on the second-ranked UCLA Bruins, who had a great start to the tournament. Also at 12:30 Eastern, you'll see Indiana and Mississippi State Bulldogs coming off their first Super Regional appearance, hosted at home. Arkansas and FSU. We're excited about that one as well, as you took a look at our schedule update brought to you by Evo Shield.
Seems like it's every day we're saying so many good matchups, so many good matchups, but it's true every single day. Got great teams battling it out. Seeing a lot of new faces, seeing how those transfers are performing for their new teams, or seeing some of the veterans, of course, that we're used to seeing, names and faces that we love to see every single season. How about the freshmen out there in the circle getting the start? Love this fan atmosphere here too. Can feel all the good vibes, all those beach vibes here in Clearwater.
So much so there's nowhere to sit, but you covered all the bases really well there, partner. And Lindsey Grine ahead in the count 1-2 to Kylie Naomi. I think that's one of the big parts of the conversation that we had coming into the softball season, is the replacement of stars and those fantastic players that we'd seen before. I'm looking over on the schedule, Duke, USF, and I think Georgina Cork all the way. As Kylie Naomi says, I'm gonna go all the way out of here. Second home run in 2 days for Kylie Naomi. First 2 of the season, and we're even at 3.
It's the benefit of all these teammates working together. When your teammate hits a rise ball up and out of the zone, the pitcher is going to try to throw something different. With 2 strikes, she comes in with this off-speed pitch, and I love how she's perfectly on time. That's what you want to see. Timed up for that off-speed pitch and blasted over the wall. She knew it as soon as that ball left her bat, that thing was leaving the yard.
Kilfoyle says, well, you know, I want to get in on the action too if I can. I mean, Oklahoma State has homered now in 4 straight games.
We talked about it earlier, those two-way players. You got to flush what happened on the field, and you've got to clear your mind, reset, step into the batter's box, and have a different game plan. So this at-bat's a really big test for Kilfoyle to see how she can overcome maybe some of those miscues that she had out in the pitching circle. We know she's got the power, she's got the pop, she's got that presence in the box too. Her tall frame expands the zone a bit more. The pitchers are having to adjust a bit lower in the zone and a bit higher in the zone too. If you're going to throw that rise ball, you've got to make sure it is high and tight on her hands.
Grine with the 1-2 and gets Kilfoyle to sit down, strikes her out. Second of the ball game for the freshman.
Goes back with that off-speed pitch. The benefit of getting ahead in the count too. You can throw it a bit lower and outside in the zone to get that swing and miss.
Number 11, Caitlin Harwell.
As we're learning about so many different new arms, a player like Lindsey Grine, is there anything that you've noticed that may aid her throughout this season, or that looks good for the future?
I like the fact that she's kind of changing her repertoire from inning to inning. She notices that these batters are making adjustments, and she's making adjustments right along with them. Whether it be working more spin up in the zone, we've seen that off-speed pitch in this inning, trying to work a bit of a drop ball, it looks like, turning her hand over too. Something that Coach Pete DeMoore said he noticed from last weekend too was maybe if there was one game where her velocity wasn't quite there, she was able to make up for it in other ways, become more of a pitch to contact pitcher rather than trying to strike everybody out.
Kenny Gajewski, you want to stick around. We'll get a chance to talk with him before the start of the fourth. And the walk to Caitlin Carwile.
Next batter of the third base, Morgan Wynn.
Grind trying to fight through, get the final out of the inning. Keep the ball game tied. Morgan Wynn. Pop up to second base, the first time up. Fouled that one off. 0-2 for Wynn. Not giving chase to that one. Going down and getting the second strikeout of the inning. But we leave the third with yet another home run and some yoga on the beach. We told you need to just relax. Namaste. What have you learned from your group so far this week?
Well, I'm really happy with the way that they've responded. We did that pretty well the first weekend. We just didn't get enough of the big finishing hits, so we're starting to do that now. But this is a team with a lot of experience, a lot of youth, but it's kind of rubbing off on each one of them, and I really love the way that they fight. It's really cool to watch.
And Coach, speaking of the big hit, you said you were really excited about Kylie Naomi's at-bats last weekend. How cool is it to see her bat explode this weekend?
It's awesome. This kid has worked so hard. She means so much to this program. She's, like I said, she has been as coachable and willing to adapt and make some change as anyone I've ever been around, and it's good. Good things happen to good peeps, so it's kind of cool.
All right, thanks, Coach. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we are in for a treat watching the rest of the way. Kylie Naomi, who can get it done in the field, in the dugout or clubhouse, and also at the plate, seeing a couple of home runs fly off her bat. We start the fourth. Kelsey Bennett singled her first time up. We have but so much time during the fall to get assessments of your players and your program, and it gives you a good indicator of what you can expect. But also the opportunity to see it unfold on the field. A player like Megan Bloodworth, who you saw her at her previous school, then coming into this program, but so far things panning out for Oklahoma State and a number of teams.
I know we've said it for pretty much everybody, but it's a test. You want to throw your team into the fire early in the season to see where they need to improve upon, see maybe where they're really good in some areas, because all of these coaches are looking down the stretch. They want to be successful when it comes to the postseason. And you can scrimmage as much as you want leading up to the season, but there's nothing quite like the feel of being out there in a game with an opponent in that other dugout. Everything's just brought to a different level. I think you see coaches across the country doing what they can to try to replicate that same feeling, those same type of pressures that you're going to feel in the ball game, but nothing really stands to being out here on the field. And a big stage like this in Clearwater too. You've got the cameras, you've got the atmosphere, a lot of fans that are into every single pitch. So I think that it's really great to see these teams, these transfers, veterans and new faces, all getting out here, getting after it and battling in February.
And really, you have to give credit to the brainchild of this event, two-time Olympian and former Oklahoma State great Michelle Smith for helping to bring this tournament to life, supported wholeheartedly by ESPN events and throughout our company, our fearless leader and Mega Ronowitz. And it gets better and better. And you heard it even within the little promo. This is the hottest ticket in town. This is the tournament you want to be in early in the season. And the good news for softball fans is we will reveal over this weekend who's going to be playing in the 2024 version.
There's no doubt that every single team wants to play here in Clearwater in the preseason for all of the reasons that we've already mentioned. It's just such a great atmosphere. It's a great event to attend as a fan as well. I've had the experience both being here as a broadcaster but also as a fan the very first year, and it was so fun to just flip back and forth between ball games. You're seeing a top 10 team on this field, you're seeing another top 10 team on this field. Those are the types of things that get you so excited for the softball season.
And if you think this is a great showing now, very solid, trying to just figure out where to sit, just wait till tomorrow and Sunday. 2 down. Well, we have a really good Sunday afternoon college basketball doubleheader on ESPN. A couple of rivalry games. In the Tar Heel State, it's UNC taking on 23rd ranked NC State. The Wolfpack in action at 1. Then Memphis and the second best team in men's college basketball this week, the Houston Cougars. They've looked good all season long. They start at 3. You can also catch it on the ESPN app. Boy, folks, you want to tune in to that ESPN app. All 40 games throughout this weekend. You can find it right there on that platform. The app. How many viewing screens do you have?
Not enough, not enough. Every year I think I have enough screens, and every year I'm trying to figure out a way to fit more televisions in my house. Like, how many can I fit up on this wall? Can I steal my toddler's iPad and put that up there too? Gotta do what you gotta do.
You'll feel some way when you take off Moana or Sing 2 or something off of the device. Be careful about that.
Recently, it's been Toy Story.
Oh, Toy Story, that's right. Over to second base, and Rachel Becker, one of the rare times you see her make a miscue in the infield. Well, talking about the different viewing screens, just in case you have your device or phone somewhere else or on the ESPN app, Aggies have a 1-0 lead over Arizona in the bottom of the 5th, and they're threatening to put on more runs as another comes across this plate. I think that was Keely Williams. Again, now 2-0, and you can see it over on Plus.
Yeah, we got the opportunity to call Texas A&M yesterday.
Oh boy, is it gone if it stays fair? And they say it's foul. Emma Ritter, first pitch swinging down the left field line. And that was really tough to determine, but the home plate umpire put up both hands to say it was a foul ball.
Looked like off the bat it was going to stay fair, and it just curved left. And I think Coach Pete DeMoore came out to see if he could ask the home plate umpire for help. But because there's a runner on first base, both of the umpires are shifted over towards the right side of the field. So it is the home plate umpire's call, a very close one down that left field line. I thought for a second that it was going to stay fair. Because remember, it's about where it passes that fence line, not where it lands.
And just remember the rule changes from a season ago. NCAA adopted video replay for college softball, just not for this weekend. Is it in use? And that's so tough to tell.
Tough to tell from that angle. Off the bat, I thought that was staying fair.
But you mentioned just a little wind swirling when we gave the weather report.
I think that wind blowing that direction was helping that ball off the bat of Emma Ritter's bat. You can see it blowing across the field towards right field. But she got every bit of that ball on that swing. Those are the loud strikes that you love as a batter too, because it puts pressure on that pitcher in the circle.
John Bargfeld going out, the pitching coach, to have a quick discussion with his battery. 4th season in calling the pitches, and the communication here and the comfortability that you have to have with your pitching coach. For Lexi Kilfoyle, she's still learning.
Still learning what sorts of pitches are going to work for her in situations. And she's a veteran in the sense that she's been around for a while, but she's somebody who's battled injuries too. So she's coming into this season feeling really good, but still working through some of those things. And for her, when you look at her arsenal of pitches, she relies very heavily on that drop ball and very heavily on that changeup. And it seems right now they've got both of those pitches timed up, and that's why we're seeing those hard hit foul balls down the left field line, because she's just trying to figure out a way to see if she can get some more ground ball outs, since these batters are getting their barrels underneath those pitches.
Emma Ritter saying, I'm trying to try opposite field, and it goes off the fence in right, and trying to come home and score, but tag out. Great play by the defense. We saw it yesterday on the relay from the Cowgirls in left field, or center field rather, and this time it's Caitlin Carwile doing the job.
Hard hit ball off the bat of Emma Ritter out to right field, well over the head of Caitlin Carwile, but she tracks it all the way to the wall, picks it up, and immediately fires it into Rachel Becker, who throws it into Taylor Tuck, who just places another perfect tag to get the out.
For time on the beach, but just a little bit east of the Gulf of Mexico. We're here at the Eddie Seymour Softball Complex. Virginia Tech head coach Pete D'Amour with us now, and coach, a back and forth ball game. You throw your freshman in the circle, and what have you seen from her response after the Cowgirls have hit her a couple of times?
There's nerves, no question about it, but she's a freshman throwing against a top 5 team in the country. So she's getting battle tested right now, and that's what we need to see. So she just needs to work ahead a little bit more.
You got to love that your offense has your pitchers back out there in the circle, too. What are you liking from their at-bat so far?
Our selectiveness is good. We're not Kilfoyle works below the knees, and we're not swinging at it. We're making her elevate the ball, and we're putting good swings on them.
Thanks so much. We appreciate the time.
You got it. Thank you.
ACC Coach of the Year a season ago, Mid-Atlantic Region Staff of the Year. It's a collective effort to build culture in a program. That's what Pete D'Amour has done, and he's used the recruiting efforts, just trying to tag youngsters like Lindsey Grind to come into this program and build them into stars. We saw that with Keely Richard. We saw the immediate success that Emma Limley had in the circle a season ago. And Grind is getting her shot, as he said, being battle tested.
You can see her line going across those 3 innings, those 4 hits, 3 earned runs. Giving up a couple of walks, more of a pitch to contact type of pitcher, but she does have those 3 strikeouts on the afternoon. I like her composure, too. She just doesn't seem to be fazed by the fact that Oklahoma State's been able to put up a couple of runs. I think she has a lot of confidence in her offense to be able to fight back, and they're putting good swings on Lexi Kilfoyle.
Cheyenne Factor pokes it through the middle of the infield and is aboard with the single. All right, let's take you back to the second inning when Wark was last up.
Similar situation, Cheyenne Factor gets on, and then it's Michaela Wark coming up with the big swing, the huge blast out to center field. She's hoping she can have a little bit of deja vu, maybe make that happen again here in the bottom of the fourth.
Kenny Gajewski said he wanted to see the aggressiveness from Michaela Wark. She showed that her last time up. And came into the program, originally was recruited by Oklahoma State, suffered an injury during high school, kind of battled through that a little bit, and ended up going to Lawrence, Kansas to suit up for the Jayhawks. After redshirting, Kenny Gajewski was able to nab her.
Good way to bounce back too after falling behind 2-0. Comes right back with 2 straight strikes. And that off-speed pitch too, knowing what Wark did in her last at-bat. Look back to last weekend with Wark's at-bats too. She was swinging early a bit, a little amped up. It's the first weekend out, you're excited. So Coach Gajewski was looking for her to be more on time, maybe not get herself out by swinging at pitches that are out of the zone, because she has that great bat-to-ball skill, that hand-eye coordination.
And this one doesn't stay fair. Yes, they say, and Wark able to get that one to go down the third base line. And a stand-up double, back-to-back hits for the Cowgirls.
Another clutch hit by Michaela Wark straight down the line. It looks like it hits the chalk line just barely in there. And it's all about where it crosses third base, right? So that's a great swing by Michaela Wark, just continuing that momentum that she built up in her last at-bat. Here a great chance for Megan Bloodworth to try to make something happen up at the plate. She had a good swing on a changeup, a 2-strike changeup in her last at-bat for a base hit to left field.
She's got runners in scoring position, and Oklahoma State could take their first lead of the ball game. Bloodworth quickly behind. The Cowgirls have 3 outs to work with. Grind gets Bloodworth to pop up, and who's gonna get it? Nobody signaled for it. And now that puts the bases loaded, and back to the top of the order with Rachel Becker. No communication there in the infield.
That's exactly right. It just looked like that ball went up in the air and everybody was looking at each other to see who was going to make that catch. You can see Jamie Bailey coming across, pointing up in the air, but ultimately nobody is aggressive to go get that fly ball. When it bounced, I thought for a second that they might see if it would bounce into foul territory, but because it made contact with Kylie Aldridge back behind the plate, they had to pick it up. Now the Cowgirls with the bases loaded here with one of their most dangerous hitters up at the plate.
And that one was ruled a hit, so 3 straight base hits to open the bottom half of the fourth. Rachel Becker, who's searching for her first RBI of this invitational. Prime spot, and she puts it in the perfect spot in right field and brings home 2. Cowgirls' first lead of the day.
And no surprise that it's coming off of the bat of Rachel Becker. She has consistently had quality at-bats throughout this entire tournament, It's a pitch outside. She gets around it and drives it down that right field line for 2 RBI to give her team the 5-3 lead. And I just think back to that fly ball. Does Rachel Becker still come up with a hit? Probably. But now they have so much more momentum because that ball was not caught on the infield. That is an out that has to be made, especially with a freshman in the circle for your squad. And you've got 2 veterans on the corners, too, between Kelsey Bennett and Jamie Bailey.
Well, Talon Edwards, also a lefty batter, want to test that composure that you talked about of Lindsey Grind here. Inside out, and it drops in front of Emma Ritter. And continuing to pour it on here is Oklahoma State. Cowgirls have now doubled up the Hokies.
Perfectly placed hit out into left field. I thought for a second maybe we might see Emma Ritter try to charge that one, see if she can get it on the fly, but it drops right in front of her for an RBI base hit.
Still no outs in the inning, 2 on. Kylie Naomi, who had that solo shot to tie up the ball game last inning, now stands at the plate. Smacks that one foul.
Back in the 3rd inning, this is a look at what Kylie Naomi did in her last at-bat. It's a changeup. It was a 2-strike changeup, and she was perfectly timed up for that pitch. That's when you know everything is clicking up in the box, when you can be on time for those off-speed pitches. And I would not be surprised here if we don't see a ton of those off-speed pitches in this at-bat.
Uh-oh, wait a minute, hold your breath, don't do it anymore. Kylie Naomi, you go, girl.
We are seeing the confidence and the swag that Kylie Naomi brings to the box every single time. That mental chess game between the hitter and the pitcher. You capitalized on a changeup in your last at-bat, so you come up this at-bat and you sit something hard because you know she's going to give you something good to hit. And man, she caught every bit of it into that swing. Her teammates are fired up, she's fired up, and you know that Coach Gajewski loves to see that in that 3rd base coach's box. This offense has just exploded here in the bottom of the 4th inning. I loved all the great things he had to say about her too, about the leadership that she has brought, how coachable she's been this season, how she's embraced the offensive changes that they've made, and you're seeing all that work pay off here.
In Madison, the viewers at home may be wondering, well, is anybody warming up in the bullpen for the Hokies? And thus far, we see no action. You know, Pete DeMoore said at the top of the inning, we want our freshmen to get this experience, to be placed in it, to know what it feels like, so that the next time you can bank that and be better prepared for a response.
You're never going to know how to work out of jams unless you've been in them and given the opportunity to work yourself out of them. I think a lot of times in the preseason you might see coaches with the quick hook pulling their freshmen out early, but they have to work through some of those things. You want to develop them through the early part in the season so that you can utilize them when it comes down to the stretch of the postseason.
And timing up the freshman very well on that AB is Lexi Kilfoyle. So 7 straight hits in this inning for Oak State.
The right fielder, Caitlin Carwile.
And no outs, too. And I think back to the first batter of this inning, and it was Cheyenne Factor getting it done, getting things going with that base hit back up the middle. Michaela Wark coming through yet again, driving it down the baseline. You could see them passing information along every single at-bat. It all started, of course, with Rachel Becker setting the tone for the rest of this offense that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with this season.
Ken Gajewski told us that, hey, we didn't necessarily get off to a fast start in Puerto Vallarta, but he left Mexico feeling encouraged. And so when you think about the start to this invitational, it was a one-run ball game against Texas A&M, and they used the 5th inning to kind of bust it open. Here, they've hung 6 so far in the 4th.
Coaches, of course, love to see the good results. You want to see the wins. You want to see the hits and the strikeouts for your pitchers, but there's also so much more that they're looking at, too. From a hitting perspective, they're looking at quality at-bats. Are you going up there and are you executing a game plan? And I think that's something that Coach Gajewski has seen from his squad throughout this tournament so far, and now the results are just paying off. On the flip side for Virginia Tech, like I said, this is a tough spot for the freshmen to be in. Going up against a really tough competitor in the Cowgirls, a top team in the country. Just seeing where she stacks up. Now we're starting to see some action in the bullpen for the Hokies. But still, Grime with an opportunity to try to work herself out of this here. Still no outs in the inning, but she's got that good defense behind her. We'll see what she can do to try to maybe roll up a double play, get some outs for her defense.
Caitlin Carlisle. Struck out her first time up, walked last, and a great play off the hop from Jamie Bailey at first. And that gets out number 1 for the Hokies freshman.
Next batter, the first baseman.
Those are the plays that your infield just needs to make. Going way up in the air to snag that one. I think back to that fly ball that was dropped in the infield. Of course, it lets another runner on base. It lets the runners advance 60 feet. But I think it just gives Oklahoma State even more momentum. This game is so much about the energy. And hitting is contagious. And when good things are going, they just continue to keep going. And it's harder and harder for the pitcher to get out of it. But still, she's composed. She has that same quick routine in between pitches. She's still getting after it.
Morgan Wynn pops that one up. Going up to get it is Cameron Fagan in shallow right field, and 2 away. Well, we have another full afternoon of college basketball, and it's a top 10 matchup in Lawrence. Number 9, Baylor, going to take on the Bill Self Jayhawks Saturday at 4, and then you've got the Sonic blockbuster, of course, that is, and then Syracuse hosting Duke. Look forward to another fun day of hoops. And now that the Cowgirls have cycled through the order, Cheyenne Factor, who led off the inning with a single, is back at the plate. The Hokies looking on from the dugout. Grind still keeping a good pace in the circle. The 1-2 pitch to Factor. Right back to Grind, fields it cleanly, and that's out number 3. But not before the Cowgirls do some damage.
It was Kylie and Naomi, and her hot bat strikes again. This monster of a home run over the left field wall, and now Cowgirls up big. Let's take a look at today's impact players, brought to you by Visit St. Pete Clearwater. And for these selections, I didn't want to go with the obvious choices. I didn't want to go with the Emma Lemley for Virginia Tech. I didn't want to go with Kelly Maxwell for Oklahoma State. But I wanted to highlight players like Emma Ritter and Jamie Bailey and what they bring offensively to this offense. You look at somebody like Emma Ritter taking over in that leadoff position. You've got somebody with Bailey with that power behind her. I think that's going to be a key for their offense. And of course, for Oklahoma State, we've talked about Rachel Becker, what she can do. But Lexi Kilfoyle, I think, is going to be a huge factor for Oklahoma State this season. Just being able to be that second arm to work in tandem with Kelly Maxwell. Maxwell, of course, one of the best pitchers in the country. But I think that Lexi Kilfoyle does have the stuff and the ability to be up there as well.
Well, that one hopped awkwardly past Kylie Naomi. It gets past her, and leading off the inning is Cameron Fagan. She's on base.
Yeah, tough hop. You know that ground balls are going to happen when you've got Kilfoyle and her drop ball in the circle. That last hop, you can see how high it jumped up there over the left shoulder of Kylie Naomi. Her taking a second to breathe. That was a close one. Not much you can do on those types of ground balls other than try to maybe body it up, which I know doesn't feel good, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I don't even know if she had a chance to move her shoulder over quick enough to be able to block that one, though.
You talk about the addition of Lexi Kilfoyle to the staff, and that's something that's become more common now. It's not just one arm that you're going to ride the entire way, so they're not going to just rely on Kelly Maxwell. They're going to say, hey, Lexi Kilfoyle, come in, help us out, do your thing, and a whole bevy of, a bevy of pitchers, and going more to that baseball mindset, which we've seen kind of start to shift in the game over the last several years.
I'm going to call it's a bullpen mentality, and you have to use everybody on your staff. These hitters are too good, and they make adjustments throughout the ball game. We've seen even dominant pitchers maybe earlier in their career have to continue changing what they throw because they know the scouting is out on them. The hitters are going to find a way to beat you, but you've got to continue to change things too.
Could this one drop? It does into shallow left field. The opposite hit for Addie Green, who's 3 for 3 today for the Hokies. So you're telling me then that we're not going to see, we'll see this replay first.
This drop ball gets her hands to it. You can see her watching it all the way down the line. Is it going to stay fair? Is it going to go foul? Plops it right in the spot, no man's land out in left field. Another base hit.
That brings up one of those impact players that you mentioned right here in Jamie Bailey. She committed on that swing.
To your point, though, Tiffany, I do think it's going to be very rare to see a pitcher go out there every single ball game, throw every single inning. Something that we really saw in the days of your Monica Abbotts and your Kat Osterman. They were going out there majority of the time. And I just think that now in today's day and age with the technology and the scouting and everything that's out there, you have to have a complete bullpen of pitchers to throw at these offenses.
Bailey lifts this one, gets into the air, and it's gone! So the long ball has worked for both sides, and don't count out the Hokies just yet. Jamie Bailey, as you said, partner, making an impact.
Jamie Bailey.
Bailey is just a batter with a ton of pop in her bat, a veteran for the Hokies. Has a good understanding of what sorts of pitches they're going to see out of Kilfoyle. Goes with this outside drop ball. That's not an easy pitch to hit, especially hit over that right field wall. She gets her back leg into it, a good extension, and gets it up into that wind tunnel, and it makes its way over that right field fence.
So we've seen Virginia Tech have the lead for the first half of this game, and Oklahoma State responding. They grabbed hold of it, and now it's Vodtek's turn.
These teams are just battling back and forth. We saw it in a couple of ball games yesterday. I think of teams like Duke and like Arizona, and now we're seeing it here with Virginia Tech. They know if that they still have innings on the scoreboard, there's still a chance for them to be able to come back.
Well, Bree Peck at the plate, but Madison, we've talked about the wind throughout this game, and it's blowing out. It was swirling, but there in right center where that ball went off the bat of Jamie Bailey. And you can see all throughout the Eddie Seymour complex here on field 8. And through the legs of Megan Bloodworth. And as it rolled into left field wisely on the base pass, Bree Peck goes to second. It's an error.
So many changes in momentum in this ball game. You can feel it all on the Virginia Tech side. This is a ball that just needs to be fielded. You can see Megan Bloodworth pulled her glove up rather than keeping it down closer to the ground. Because of that, it gets through her legs, but I love the fact that Bree Peck is aggressive on the base paths. She had her eyes on that ball the entire time, and she knew she could take advantage of an opportunity to get into scoring position.
Another trip to the circle for John Bargfeld. And Kenny Gajewski will also come out as well and talk to his infielders. A couple of tough hops on that left side. And keeping the door open for Virginia Tech to eat away at this 3-run deficit. Jamie Bailey helped to take some pressure off with her 3-run homer a couple of at-bats ago. And no outs for Meredith Slaw with a runner in scoring position.
You know, I thought as an offense for the game plan going up against a Kilfoyle that's got the drop ball, I thought the game plan was going to be try to string together a bunch of singles, but Virginia Tech said, you know what, no way. We're going to prove you wrong. We're just going to go up there and hit the long ball. And it all started, too, with Madison Hanson, that pinch hitter coming up off the bench, that 2-run shot back in the second inning. It's almost proved to the rest of the team, hey, if I can do it, you guys can do it, too.
Well, they went yard 5 times last weekend. This is the first game for Virginia Tech here in Clearwater, and they've already gone yard 3 times.
I'm on the edge of my seat up here. I'm typically somebody that likes to sit down and take it in, but no, I'm standing up, shifting back and forth. It's a nail biter.
It is.
Love to see it, though. I think you see a lot of smiles on everybody's faces in the stands because they can feed off of that energy that's coming from the field right now.
Grounder over to Rachel Becker, makes the routine play, and more importantly, Slaw does her job of advancing the runner to third.
I was going to say, it's a tough swing for her, too. You mentioned she was able to move that runner over to third base. We talked about her stance, how she steps across. She almost has to do a little bit extra to pull the ball to the right side, but she was still able to figure out a way to do so.
Kelsey Bennett, who's singled and scored a run. Third time up against Kilfoyle. Pulled foul. to button up that conversation. Another multi-hit home run game for Virginia Tech. They did it in their last game against Purdue. But this time, producing 3 home runs off the 5th-ranked Oklahoma State Cowgirls. Jammed inside. Kylie Naomi had a tough time tracking that one with the sun in her face, and 2 away. Monday night, 2 of the top women's teams in the Pac-12 going head-to-head. Stanford hosting UCLA Monday at 9 Eastern over on ESPN. Maples Pavilion will be hopping. I'll tell you, Stanford, one of those teams who could quite possibly challenge the top-ranked South Carolina Gamecocks, the defending champs.
How impressive is Aaliyah Boston?
Oh my goodness.
I can watch her,
Love her.
play basketball all day long.
And one of those things that you have to have in building a championship program is depth. Dawn Staley has done that in Columbia with her Gamecocks. Kenny Gajewski continuing to create that depth through his program. Obviously, their rival in Oklahoma continues to just reload in that department.
You want to have people that can come off the bench and make an impact, too, like we saw earlier in this ball game for Virginia Tech. Madison Hanson with that big 2-run shot, and now Morgan Overitis with a pinch hit opportunity for her team.
Overitis, the ball in the strike. Hit 341 last year, a handful of home runs. Chops that one foul. Kill for Reddies. And Overitis commits, goes down, and that ends the inning. Couple of singles to lead off for Virginia Tech. The home run from Jaylee Bailey, and bringing the Hokies within 3.
The action that's happening on the field behind us between Texas A&M and Arizona. It's Arizona's Dakota Kennedy with this RBI single out to left field in the top of the 7th inning. But Emily Kennedy in the circle, the lefty for A&M, shuts the door, and a 2-1 victory for the Aggies.
The Aggies picking up a win under first-year head coach Tricia Ford back here, Oklahoma State on top of Virginia Tech as we take a look at this game track brought to you by Evo Shield, and a lot of hits, 10 combined between the two in these last at-bats, and 9 runs put up, and both teams really falling upon that long ball to help them out in this game.
Almost an entire game in itself, just really in what, the past 2 innings?
Yeah.
Seen a lot of scoring, a lot of home runs, a lot of fight between these two teams, and we're going to see a new pitcher in the circle for the Hokies.
That's Molly Jacobson, the redshirt sophomore. And what she delivers for Pete D'Amour's group is what?
Now she's going to be a strike thrower. She's going to come in there and attack the strike zone, really force Oklahoma State to put the ball in play. Doesn't have a ton of velocity. She's going to bring it in the low 60s, but she's got really good control and command of her pitches. Likes to work that drop ball. Prime example on that pitch, just floating a bit up in the zone, but also a very effective changeup as well.
Doing that change of pitchers. Pete Demore also making a switch in the outfield, moving Emma Ritter from left to center and importing Kelsey Brown in the outfield. There's Ritter. And get that one, the sneak pass. The shortstop at Michaela Wark, who's having a 3-for-3 day.
On fire, just taking whatever the pitchers are giving her. Drop ball outside, driving it back up the middle. Looked like for a second maybe Thrunk was anticipating that ball was going to take a high hop like we've seen it do already today, but that one stayed low and got underneath the diving glove.
Wark nearly hitting for the cycle today. Had a 2-run homer back in the second, a double last inning, now a single.
That elusive triple. That's what I could never get the triple. I could never get it.
Bloodworth laying down the bunt and does so perfectly, sacrificing herself and her at bat, and Wark moves to scoring position.
Perfectly executed sacrifice bunt by Bloodworth. You're going up there, you have one job, get the ball down into fair territory and move that runner into scoring position. She squares early and you can see her eyes tracking that ball all the way to the barrel. Great job by the transfer.
Rachel Becker is back. A couple of hits today for the transfer second baseman. You said she's a strike thrower, and right now Molly Jacobson placing 2 balls right into the zone.
Tried to work that changeup in there, hung on to it just a bit too long. That's typically what happens when you see those off-speed pitches sail up in the zone. It's all about that timing when you release that pitch out of your hand.
Oh, give me some. I'm kind of hungry right now. This is the first of 2 games for us. Many more on the way throughout the day. You're a kettle corn girl?
I prefer popcorn.
Okay.
And I did see, I was thinking about this before the ball game, that Hawk was flying around. It grabbed himself a little snack. I wonder if he can snag us some popcorn, maybe drop it into the booth. That would be something.
That would be. So the coffee's wearing off right now. Or the tea. Swing and a miss. And Jacobson getting her first strikeout.
Big pitch for Jacobson. Rachel Becker, such a tough out up at the plate. Saw her foul off the drop ball outside, but look at the location on this one. Almost wrapping behind the lefty in Rachel Becker. Gets her to swing and miss. And gets 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th.
Talon Edwards with that RBI single. And that 6-run inning for the Cowgirls. Lefty bounces that one foul down the right baseline. First baseline. Oh, the fans. And you know what we noticed about who was in the stands? Yesterday you pointed out a number of former players in the building. And a 1-3 put out, that ends the inning. Back here in Clearwater for more when we return. 6th inning on the other side. 2023 TaxAct Clearwater Invitational presented by Evo Shield. There he is. Stay hawking. That's your boy up in,
he's on the lookout for that
perch.
popcorn to try to swoop it by our booth.
And he's also excited because this just in, ladies and gentlemen, Oklahoma State returning to this invitational for the 5th straight season next year in 2024. Hey, good folks. 16 teams, all of them will be revealed for next season during our big-time matchup between FSU and Alabama Sunday. You can catch that 5 Eastern on ESPN.
Those teams being revealed is just the cherry on top of a fantastic matchup between those two teams. Really looking forward to seeing that one. Question is always in these ball games, who's going to pitch? Who's going to throw out their ace? Who's going to throw somebody new out into the circle? And speaking of somebody new, we've got somebody new out in the circle for Oklahoma State. Kyra Aycock getting a chance in the circle to see what she's made of. She did throw yesterday, 1 out away from having a perfect game. Base hit in the 5th inning with 2 away. But still a great performance.
You know, the question of who's going to take that 3 spot for Kenny Gajewski still getting figured out. Kyra Aycock is in the running to get that opportunity, some more midweek type of matchups. And that's a good way to impress your coaching staff. And when you think about what she looks like in the circle in terms of what you're going to see, this is your scouting report, man.
She's a really tall presence in the circle, and you're seeing that high velocity, 68, 70 miles per hour. She likes to work the ball hard down in the zone, and she's going to mix in an off-speed pitch as well.
And this one's going to fall into the opposite field, and the base hit for Tegan Thrunk. She got 2 on that one.
When you're going up against a pitcher that has 70 miles per hour in her back pocket, you can't do too much with your swing. If you get too long, that's when you're going to swing and miss. But I like this short, compact swing on a pitch outside by Thrunk, dropping it out into right field to get this inning going.
Credit Virginia Tech, they've got 10 hits in this ball game, put up 6 runs. And Lexi Kilfoyle got a little extra boost from her group after throwing 88 pitches in the circle. Her offense certainly broke through back in the 4th. Close, but 2 balls and a strike on Emma Ritter.
Not sure where that pitch missed. We've seen a lot of drop ball pitchers in this ball game, maybe anticipating that ball was going to go down in the zone, but Aycock bringing more of that upspin in there too. It just stayed right at the knees.
See the corners trying to come in, but that one hit well, perfectly in the center field, and does her job is Emma Ritter. 3 hits on the day for the junior.
Another great example of why Coach Pete Moore wanted Emma Ritter in that leadoff position, to get her as many at-bats as possible throughout the ball game. She's constantly learning. She can make quick adjustments up at the plate.
Nice batter for the Hokies.
Aycock brings this ball right about belt high, and she smashes it back up the middle to bring her team within 2 runs now.
Passing the bat over to Cameron Fagan. And the junior has just been steady for this Hokie team. And when you go back and you look at how successful you were, no matter what the decision on the scoreboard says, you have to feel encouraged if you're Pete Demore, the way your team is hitting the ball and going to try to tag. The runner is Rachel Becker, and turns out the double play. She had a plan as soon as the ball touched her glove.
Such a smart play, and it's all about that pre-pitch thought, knowing what you're going to do with the ball before it even comes to you. She fields this one hardly hit off of the bat, but she runs up and tags out the runner before throwing the ball over to first base. She had the option of tossing it to second base, but she thought, I can make a quicker turn if I make the tag myself and then fire it over there for a big double play.
We saw some spectacular plays from Becker over at second base last weekend. And it was just one of those things where, you know, Kenny Gajewski was just like, hey, I knew this was going to happen. She was an All-American shortstop at Purdue. And moving over to the right side for the Cowgirls. She moves over to first base to be there for the 3-4 put out. That ends the inning. Virginia Tech tacks on one more run. How about Kylie Naomi coming up to bat when we return?
Look at today's performance update prepared by TaxAct, and of course, it's Kylie Naomi and what she's been able to do up at the plate today. The 2-strike changeup she sends over the center field wall, and then how about this blast? Going way out towards the beach over that left field wall for 2 home runs on the day for Naomi.
Second multi-homer game for Naomi in her career, and you talked about the hitting being contagious. We've seen that over the last 2 days from Oklahoma State. They have been on fire at the plate. Naomi, last and first time she had 2 home runs in a game was back on March 6th during that COVID season against Missouri State. What's the encore look like here in the bottom of the 6th? Florida State is hanging around. They hit the field here next as they face off against the Razorbacks. Seminoles picked up a win yesterday over Arizona. The age-old question, who will pitch? Picked up by Thrunk at shortstop, makes a nice play going to her left, one down.
Seems like it's the day of the top 10 matchups too. We've got one here this morning, another one coming up right after this.
Get excited, people. I mean,
Get
like,
excited all season long, Tiffany.
does the excitement mean we're going to see a little jig, a little dance from you, Madison?
I know you want to see the dance moves.
I do.
I'll
I'm not
maybe
the only
bust
one.
those out. in a
America
certain-
does.
I know. I don't know if they want to see that.
You were doing a little rock in the car, weren't you?
I was.
You know, when you think about how this weekend helps you in terms of RPI, get it as high as possible, and thinking about those top 10 matchups, like facing off against an Oklahoma State, these type of events obviously help you towards building the best resume possible, trying to march into the postseason.
I think a lot of these coaches have seen too just how important it is to build up that strength of schedule early in the season.
Another full afternoon of college basketball Saturday on ESPN. Top 10 on the hardwood as the Bears of Baylor going to Lawrence to face off against the Kansas Jayhawks in our Sonic Blockbuster. Right after that, you can catch Syracuse and Duke. College Game Day will be hanging out in Allen Fieldhouse. Swing and a miss on that pitch. 0-2 now to Caitlin Carlisle.
Good downward movement on the drop ball, but I also like how some of them are tailing away from the lefties too. That bite movement in two different directions makes it that much more difficult to get good barrel on.
Gets a barrel on this one on the 0-2 count and the base hit. Going for two and she's safe. So being aggressive on the base pass. Here's Carlisle.
I'm surprised they didn't go back to that low and outside spot. They brought it a bit higher and inside, but you can see how Carlisle's eyes are on that ball the entire time. A close play over at second base. The diving effort by Cameron Fagan, but she just sneaks in there in time.
Number 6, Audrey Schneldmiller.
And pinch hitter as a defensive substitution for Kenny Gajewski behind the dish. And Audrey Schneidmiller. And now she's at the plate. Fielded well by Jacobson, and that ends the inning. Cowgirls leave a runner stranded in scoring position. Nothing doing. We move to the 7th here from Clearwater when we return.
TaxAct Clearwater Invitational, presented by EvoShield, is brought to you by TaxAct. File for less and get more. St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida. Let's shine. Plan your escape at visitstpeteclearwater.com. And EvoShield, the source for custom fitting protective gear.
Start to the morning here from the Eddie Seymour Softball Complex. That's 6 runs, the difference for Oklahoma State. They've got a 2-run advantage. They've been pouring it on over the last 2 days. 27 runs in total for the Cowgirls, but a strong start to the weekend for the 9th-ranked Virginia Tech Hokies. One wonderful exposure this weekend provides. Mississippi State and Arizona will take place at 3. Rematch of last year's Super Regional. Alabama, UCLA, Arkansas in action twice against a couple of ACC opponents in Florida State and Duke. And Jamie Bailey hits that one hard down the left field line, but foul.
Taking a look back at the 5th inning, this is what Jamie Bailey did up at the plate. A drop ball low and outside. She goes with it, uses that backside to drive that ball opposite field for a big 3-run shot to inch those Hokies even closer to that 9-run lead. that the Oklahoma State Cowgirls have.
Working with final 3 outs, now down to 2 after that strikeout from Kyra Aycock.
Really like that they changed the eye level. With Kyra Aycock, we typically see her down in the zone, and on this last pitch, she goes up in the zone with the high heater, 68 miles per hour, and blows it by Jamie Bailey.
Center fielder to start off the ball game, Bree Peck. At the plate. Have a single already today. Kyra Aycock in her freshman season, coming off an outstanding fall top performer according to Kenny Gajewski. And good looking start for the spring season. Kelsey Brown on deck. Moved into left as a defensive substitution earlier. And Bree Peck sends this one high, flying right center. You see the flag flickering, flying, and it's gone. And the Hokies now
Solo homer,
within
Bree Peck.
1 run.
Virginia Tech showing so much fight. Looked like this pitch was supposed to be further up and inside, and she takes her hands straight to it, gets it up into that wind tunnel, and launches it out to right field. A clutch home run. And I was wondering coming into this inning, first time that this part of the order has seen Kyra Aycock, so how quickly can they execute those game plans up at the plate? And so far, this inning, with their backs up against the wall, doing a nice job, seeing a lot of pitches and forcing Aycock to make some mistakes.
The Hokies not done yet. Meredith Slaw from the left side. The senior takes ball 1 a little bit low. Seven home runs in the last 2 games for the Hokies. We've seen 4 fly off their bats this morning. Slaw lines it over to Naomi at short, 2 away.
Another sharply hit ball off the bat of Virginia Tech. And talking to Coach Pete DeMore, he said that they practice hitting off of pitches that were coming in 90 miles per hour. That way, when they face somebody like Aycock that has that good velocity, that throws at 68, it doesn't seem as fast. They're trying to slow down their minds in the box, and been really impressed with what that offense has been able to do against a really elite pitching staff that Oklahoma State has.
Kelsey Bennett, last chance for Virginia Tech. It was tied through 3 innings before Oklahoma State came out roaring in the bottom half of the 4th. But if one thing we're learning about Virginia Tech, there's plenty of fight, so can't count them out. I mean, they were down by as many as 6 runs in this one, and they've trimmed it to a 1-run deficit. Kelsey Bennett, oh baby, laying into it, out of here. Can you believe this? Are my eyes seeing what your eyes are seeing?
It's all
If your eyes are seeing that that ball hasn't quite landed yet, then yes, our eyes are seeing the same thing. I love the swagger that we're seeing from Virginia Tech. Such a smooth swing that Kelsey Bennett has. Look at the way she watches that. As soon as she hits it, flick of the bat, and fired up, looking at her teammates running down that first base line. A huge swing. A good hitter's count too, 2-0 count. She knew she was gonna get something good to swing at. Tough break for Kyra Aycock, and a monster of a solo shot to tie up this ball game.
My. Bottom half of the hour. 9-all ball game in this top 10 matchup.
I knew we were going to see a great game, but I thought it was going to be more of a pitcher's duel. I was not expecting to see explosive offenses on both sides today.
I'll tell you, the Hokie faithful have traveled from Blacksburg and all around the country to see their team claw, fight, and now even up this ball game again and put the pressure on Oklahoma State.
So many changes in momentum throughout this ball game too. I do think that both of these teams kind of take on the personalities of their head coaches. Both of them known for being calm, cool, and collected. No matter if their team is down, if their team is up. You see Coach Pete Moore just looking on. You know he's got to be really happy with the way that his offense has performed today.
4-pitch walk to Kylie Aldridge. Lexi Kilfoyle looking on. She started this ball game in the circle.
The Hokies, the shortstop, Tegan Trump.
Now here's Tegan Thrunk. Then Aycock wants to end the inning right here with Thrunk because back to the top of the order with Emma Ritter on deck. Remember, it was Thrunk who got the first hit off of Aycock as she entered the circle, a double to right. Going out, giving chase to that. 0-2.
I don't think she was going for just a regular old single on that swing. I think she was trying to drive it out over the scoreboard in right field.
Freshman Thrunk fouls it off. Very instinctual type of player. Nice softball acumen for the youngster. See if she can come up with a good piece of hitting to flip over this lineup.
I love that pitch. I love that off-speed pitch. 0-2 count, throws it in right at the knees. I thought that one was a strike. Of course, home plate umpire thinks differently. I think the Oklahoma State fans would agree that they thought that one was a strike as well. But a tough take by Thrunk.
Reaching out to get that one, fouls it off.
She wasn't going to take a chance on that next pitch. She was fouling that one off. Get it out of the way.
Now, if you're Aycock, do you come back with that off speed again? Try to get her guessing a little bit?
Maybe trying to get her to chase something up and out. We already saw her do that once this at bat. That good velocity, pump it in there. Goes with the drop outside. Another quality at bat.
7-8-9 due up for Oklahoma State in the bottom half of the inning. Cheyenne Factor is going to lead it off for the Cowgirls. Thrunk chops it over to short, and that ends the threat. However,
these Hokies tying up the ball game in the top of the 7th, and it all got started off the bat of Bree Peck with a solo shot to bring them within 1. And the big Kelsey Bennett coming up huge with the game tying.
With 9, home run, Kelsey Bennett.
State and their fans ready for another top 10 matchup coming your way right here on ESPNU, as Lonnie Alameda is leading this group already with a win under their belt. Meanwhile, Virginia Tech and Oklahoma State have been offensive happy, hitting the ball everywhere and out of the park. 8 home runs in total between the two teams. Season highs set really early this season.
Yes, you're reading that right. 8 total home runs in this ball game. I can't remember the last game that we've seen this much firepower from both sides of the field. And they've been able to do it against several different pitchers too. It's not just the same pitcher, but executing those game plans up at the plate.
And for Cheyenne Factor, who hit one yesterday out of the park. One swing can end it all off of her bat as Molly Jacobson delivers ball 2. Right side base hit. Cheyenne Factor leads off the bottom half of the inning. Go back to Michaela Ward.
Getting things going in the 2nd inning with this huge home run to put the Cowgirls on the board. She has been on fire today. 3 hits already in this ball game. But you know her teammates would love for her to come through clutch yet again here in the bottom of the 7th.
You know she would love that elusive triple, right? Kind of hard to get, probably in this situation.
I think right now she's just going to take an RBI. If she can score Cheyenne Factor from first base, that's what she wants to do, win this ball game with one swing of the bat.
Where we have seen an outstanding game from this youngster, but just exceptional play all across the board. In today's matchup, the grounder over to Thrunk, flips it over to first, 1 away.
All smiles from Factor over on second base. Maybe not the result that Wark wanted, but a productive out nonetheless.
So the runner in scoring position in pinch hitter Katie Lott will step in.
Pinch hitting for the Cowgirls, number 33, Katie Lott.
Lott, we saw her in a pinch hitting role yesterday. Drew a walk. And can she produce her first RBI of her career at Oklahoma State? See what the Cowgirls have done with runners in scoring position. 4 for 10, 6 ribbies.
pinch hitting role one of the most difficult in all the game of softball because you have to be ready anytime your name might be called during the ball game. So I like that they've given her several pinch hitting opportunities already early in this season to see how she handles some of that pressure.
Lott coming up with the big hit in the right center gap, the walk-off, first RBI for the freshman. She's done it, and the Cowgirls with a 10-9 win over the Hokies.
Just the ultimate battle back and forth between these two teams, throwing punches the entire ball game. But ultimately it comes down to a pinch hitting opportunity for the freshman. Gets a pitch that she can handle and drives it out into the outfield. That's what you love to see. That's why these coaches put these freshmen in these positions to see how they perform. And how about that for Katie Lott, her first career RBI, and it's a walk-off.
And fitting into just the way this game has gone back and forth.